So I get a lot of watches in from newer brands that take design cues from companies like Rolex, Omega, Panerai, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, a rework on a classic design can be really cool, but when companies come out with something original, and especially something original that looks really good, you have to applaud them for that. And that's exactly what Isotope Watches have done with their latest release. So first up, if you're wondering what the watches are sitting on, this is a watch roll that the watches came out in. It is quite large actually, so it's a little bit hard to fit in frame, so I'm just going to slide it through the frame here so you can get an idea, but it's a good quality. Inside the pockets, you're going to find a sleeve like this, and the watch just goes inside the sleeve and then into the pocket. So nice little add-on. Also, I have a couple of straps here. I don't believe these are available yet on the Isotope site, and I don't believe they're going to be included with the watches. These are going to be an add-on. So nice quality straps though too. Now to the watch, and just check out this design, the case, the bracelet. I just love the style. Sometimes when brands go for a unique design, things can get a little odd in the looks department. To do something truly original and have it look this good is no easy task, but I think they've totally hit a home run with this watch. Now, Isotope has two colorways and each with some options. Both can be had in a date or no date option. Check out the date placement though. It's slightly larger than the hour markers, but not by a lot, so it blends in really nicely there. You also have the option of movement, either an NH35 or a Sellita SW200. Prices are £379 or right around 480 US dollars for the NH35 and £519 or about 655 US dollars for the Sellita. The orange version has a display case back, but the blue is a special edition. Their brand ambassador is a world champion and record-breaking freediver Johanna Nordblad, and the case back pays tribute to her on the blue version. They have a short write-up on her on the site that's worth a read for sure if you're not familiar with her. When I first saw these watches, it was the case and the bracelet that really caught my attention straight away. They're both pretty well completely brushed. I really like how they've sort of sunk the crowns into the side of the case, but the way they're done, they're both very easy to operate. Now, normally with this style of watch with the internal bezel, you'll have both crowns being screwed down. The crown at 4 for adjusting the time is, but the bezel crown at 2 actually uses 4 gaskets to keep it waterproof, so no fiddling with unscrewing it to time something. I'm not sure if it's the gaskets that cause it, but there's resistance there. Still easy to turn, but hard enough where you're not likely to turn it accidentally. The crown at 4 is signed with the company logo, the other with a blue teardrop shape. They have also pressed that shape into the dial. Goutte D'eau, which is the name of this watch, is actually French for water droplet, so that's where they get the name. The case is sized right with a case width of 40 millimeters. Lug to lug is 43.5 millimeters. The lug opening is 22 millimeters and the thickness is 12.3 millimeters. That includes the domed crystal. This is a Sellita model and the NH35s are slightly thicker at 13.4 millimeters. The crystal is an anti-reflective sapphire and the water resist is 200 meters. The dial is a sandwich style dial with cutouts at the hour markers. The center of the dial again has that teardrop shape pressed into it, and that same shape is repeated on the hour markers at the 3, 6, and 9. The 12 at the top of the dial makes for quick orientation of the watch, and I like how both watches have the pop of color on the bezel, second hand, and a bit of the text. The watch is using BGW9 Super Luminova. They've gone for a two-tone lume with a different color on the first 20 minutes of the bezel. It's pretty cool that on the orange model they've gone with an orange tone lume in that same spot. The lume isn't blindingly bright or anything, but it's totally up to par for the watch. The only thing missing is some lume on the second hand, but not a huge issue. The icing on the cake for me is the bracelet. One thing I'll point out that's usually a negative is the end link fit. It sticks out here, but it still follows the form of the case with that step from the case side to the lug, then lug to end link. The way they've made it, it's not a rigid bracelet, so you get a bit of this kind of movement, but it wears strangely a lot like a Jubilee because of that. Completely different look, but it feels very similar. I guess part of the reason is the links are very short. The Ratcheting Clasp is one that's not particularly unique, but it works well, looks good, and is signed with the Isotope logo. On wrist, between the size of the watch head itself, the way the bracelet has that flex and flow, it wears extremely comfortably. And using the word extremely may seem a little extreme, but this wears awesome. Definitely easy on the wrist. Also, not having the crown at 3 helps with that range of motion. Maybe this design won't be for everyone, but I found it to be a refreshing take on a compressor style diver, and it's been a lot of fun to wear for the last few days. So that's it, guys. Thanks to Isotope for lending in the watches. Thanks to you guys for stopping by, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.